In a time shrouded by tyranny, when faith was a whispered secret and belief a dangerous rebellion, what happens when a group of young souls choose God over a king? Can divine protection transcend the boundaries of time itself, hiding truth in plain sight for centuries? This is the miraculous tale of Ashab al-Kahf, the people of the cave, a story of unwavering faith, miraculous sleep, and a divine sign for all generations. Or do you think that the companions of the cave and the inscription were among our signs a wonder? Thoughtful. Surah Al-Kahf, 18:9. What drives young men to defy an empire, to risk everything for a belief that seems to stand alone against a world of oppression? How does a quiet conviction become a blazing fire in the face of tyranny? And what profound choice, made in desperation, would lead them to a destiny far beyond human comprehension? Our story begins in an era long past, in a city veiled by the shadows of a tyrannical ruler. The exact time and place are known only to Allah, but the Qur'an tells us their tale as a profound lesson. This was a time when polytheism, the worship of many gods, was enforced by the king, a ruler named Decius, who demanded absolute obedience to his idols. For the people of this city, life was a constant test. To openly declare belief in one God, Allah, was to invite persecution, torture, and even death. Homes were raided, believers were hunted, and the very air was thick with fear for those who dared to hold on to their true faith. The king was ruthless, his decrees absolute, and his power seemed to crush all dissent. Yet, amidst this darkness, a small group of young men, noble in spirit and pure in heart, held fast to the truth of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah. These were not ordinary young men, they were from the city's elite, perhaps even from the king's own court, enjoying positions of privilege and comfort. But their hearts were illuminated by a light that worldly power could not extinguish. They saw the falsehood of the idols, the injustice of the king, and the spiritual emptiness that pervaded their society. Their faith was not a mere tradition. It was a living conviction that burned within them. They gathered in secret, strengthening each other's resolve, sharing their belief in Allah, and seeking guidance from His divine signs. They understood that their true allegiance was to their Creator, not to an earthly tyrant. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The best of jihad is a word of justice before an oppressive ruler." Sunan Abi Dawud, Book 37, Hadith 4344. While they did not confront the king directly with words, their very decision to reject his idolatry was an act of profound spiritual defiance, a silent jihad of the heart. The king, Decius, grew increasingly frustrated by the persistence of these monotheists. He summoned them, demanding that they renounce their faith and worship his idols. He threatened them with severe punishment, perhaps even death, if they refused. This was their moment of truth, a crucible that would test the very core of their belief. Would they succumb to fear and compromise their faith, or would they stand firm, trusting in Allah's protection? The young men, filled with courage born of conviction, refused to yield. They openly declared their belief in the one God, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who had no partners. They spoke with eloquence and sincerity, challenging the king's idolatry and affirming the truth of Islam. Their words were a beacon in the darkness, a testament to the power of unwavering faith. Faced with their steadfastness, the king did not immediately execute them. Perhaps he was surprised by their defiance, or perhaps he sought to break their spirit through other means. He gave them a reprieve, a short time to reconsider their decision, hoping that fear and worldly temptations would lead them back to his path. This temporary respite, however, was a test. It was a moment for them to reflect, to weigh the consequences of their choice, and to decide their next step. They knew that returning to the king's court meant abandoning their faith, and remaining in the city meant facing inevitable torture and death. They were caught between a rock and a hard place, their lives hanging in the balance. It was in this desperate moment that they made a momentous decision, one born of deep spiritual insight and profound trust in Allah. They resolved to flee the city, to escape the king's tyranny, and to seek refuge in a place where they could worship Allah freely. They understood that sometimes preserving one's faith requires physical separation from oppression. They planned their escape meticulously, knowing that failure meant capture and a brutal end. They left behind their privileged lives, their homes, and all their worldly possessions, choosing instead the uncertainty of the unknown, guided only by their faith. This act of leaving everything behind for the sake of Allah was a testament to their sincerity. The Qur'an states, "And whoever emigrates for the cause of Allah will find on earth many alternative havens and abundance." Surah An-Nisa 4:100. They were embarking on a spiritual migration, seeking Allah's vast earth as their refuge. As they slipped away from the city under the cover of darkness, they were accompanied by a loyal companion, a dog whose unwavering loyalty would become a part of their miraculous story. This dog, named Kitmir by some traditions, followed them faithfully, a silent witness to their desperate flight. They sought a place of concealment, a sanctuary where they could hide from the king's relentless pursuit. Their hearts were filled with prayer, seeking Allah's guidance and protection. They knew that their escape was not by their own strength, but by the grace of Allah. They were young, vulnerable, and alone, but their faith was their shield. They walked for what seemed like an eternity, their bodies weary, their minds focused on finding a safe haven. The city lights faded behind them, and the vast, silent wilderness stretched before them. They were stepping into the unknown, trusting completely in the divine plan that was unfolding for them. Little did they know, the journey to their sanctuary would lead them to a miracle that would defy the very fabric of time, a sleep that would span centuries, a profound sign for all who reflect. Little did they know, the journey to their sanctuary would lead them to a miracle that would defy the very fabric of time, a sleep that would span centuries, a profound sign for all who reflect. They had chosen faith over fear, and now Allah's extraordinary protection would envelop them in a slumber beyond human comprehension. So we cast a cover of sleep over their ears within the cave for a number of years. Then we awakened them that we might show which of the two factions was most precise in calculating what they had remained in time. Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, verses 11 and 12. What hidden power would guard them from the ravages of time, preserving them as if in a timeless embrace? How would a simple cave become a sanctuary of divine mystery, defying the king's pursuit and the very laws of nature? And what profound wisdom would be revealed through their miraculous awakening, a testament to Allah's boundless might? The tension built with every breath of the sleeping world, as centuries silently slipped by. As the young men, accompanied by their faithful dog, ventured deeper into the wilderness, they sought a hidden refuge. Their desperate search led them to a secluded cave, nestled high in the mountains, its entrance obscured from prying eyes. This was not a place chosen by chance, but by divine guidance. The Qur'an describes it as a place where the sun, when it rose, would pass by the cave on the right, and when it set, it would pass on the left, ensuring that sunlight reached them without directly hitting them, keeping the cave cool and well ventilated. This precise description hints at the meticulous planning of Allah's protection, ensuring their preservation. They entered the cave, weary from their journey, seeking only a temporary respite from the king's persecution. They lay down, exhausted, and their loyal dog stretched out at the entrance, guarding them. And then the miracle began. Allah cast a deep sleep over them, a slumber unlike any ordinary rest. It was a sleep so profound that it protected their bodies from decay, preserving them as if time itself had paused. Their eyes remained open, yet unseeing, giving them the appearance of being awake, which would deter anyone who might stumble upon them. The Quran describes them as being awake while they were asleep. Surah Al-Kahf, 18:18. A subtle detail that adds to the mystery and divine nature of their slumber. This was Allah's direct intervention, a powerful act of protection against the oppressive king and his soldiers. Had the king's men found them, they would have been executed for their faith. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom and power, chose to hide them in plain sight, using sleep as their shield. This miraculous slumber was a clear sign, a divine warning to the tyrannical king and his followers that Allah's power transcended all earthly might. Their spiritual defiance, their choice of faith over fear, was met with an extraordinary act of divine safeguarding. While they slept, centuries passed outside the cave. The world changed dramatically. The oppressive king, Decius, died, and his empire eventually crumbled. New rulers came and went. New civilizations rose and fell. The very memory of the persecution they had fled faded into legend. The city they had left behind transformed, its inhabitants embracing new beliefs and ways of life. But within the cave, the young men and their dog remained untouched by the passage of time, preserved in their miraculous sleep. Thoughtful. This long, silent period was a testament to Allah's infinite power and His ability to suspend the laws of nature for His divine purposes. The Quran states, "And you would think them awake while they were asleep. And we turned them to the right and to the left, while their dog stretched his forelegs at the entrance. If you had looked at them, you would have surely turned from them in flight and been filled by them with terror." Surah Al-Kahf, 18:18. This description paints a vivid picture of their unusual state, designed to instill fear in anyone who might approach, further ensuring their undisturbed rest. The young men were unaware of the centuries that slipped by. Their sleep was a deep, peaceful oblivion, a state of complete detachment from the changing world outside. This was Allah's way of protecting their faith, removing them from a time of severe trial and preserving them for a future purpose. Their story is a powerful reminder of Allah's control over all things, including time itself. It shows that when a believer places their complete trust in Allah, He can provide protection in ways unimaginable to human minds. The tension built with every silent year, every passing decade as the world outside evolved, oblivious to the hidden miracle within the cave. The young men were not just sleeping, they were preserved, a living testament to Allah's power and a future sign for humanity. Their dog Kitmir remained steadfastly at the entrance, his forelegs outstretched, a loyal guardian. The Quran mentions him specifically, elevating his status as a part of this divine miracle. His presence adds a touch of tenderness and loyalty to the awe-inspiring narrative. For centuries, he remained in his vigilant pose, a silent sentinel protecting his masters. This detail further emphasizes the extraordinary nature of the event, as even an animal was granted a prolonged, miraculous existence to fulfill a divine purpose. The story of their sleep is a profound example of Allah's ability to provide refuge and protection for those who strive in His path. It asks us to reflect on the nature of time, the limits of human understanding, and the boundless power of the Creator. The world outside continued its relentless march, unaware of the incredible secret hidden within the mountain. A secret waiting for the appointed time to be revealed, a powerful sign for a new generation. The world outside continued its relentless march, unaware of the incredible secret hidden within the mountain, a secret waiting for the appointed time to be revealed, a powerful sign for a new generation. After centuries of profound slumber, the moment of awakening arrived, shattering the silence of the cave and bringing them face to face with a world utterly transformed. And similarly, we awaken them that they might question one another, thoughtful, A speaker among them said, "How long have you remained?" They said, "We have remained a day or part of a day, resolute." They said, "Your Lord is most knowing of how long you remained, so send one of you with this silver coin of yours to the city, and let him see which is the purest of food, and bring you provision from it. And let him be cautious, and not inform anyone about you." Surah Al-Kahf, after 18 verses 19. What shock awaited them as they stepped out of their timeless sanctuary into a world they no longer recognized? How would their ancient coins and old-world clothes reveal their miraculous story? And what profound truth would this awakening unveil, not just for them, but for all of humanity, a testament to Allah's boundless power? The confrontation with the new world was imminent, a divine judgment revealing a hidden miracle. After a profound sleep that spanned 309 years, Allah awakened the young men. They stirred, stretched, and began to converse, their minds still clouded by the lingering effects of their extraordinary slumber. Their initial thought was that they had only slept for a day, or perhaps part of a day. This immediate confusion highlights the miraculous nature of their sleep, as they felt no passage of time. One of them, perhaps the most pragmatic, suggested that their Lord knew best how long they had remained. Their immediate concern was hunger. They had fled in haste, with little provision, and now their stomachs rumbled. They decided to send one of their companions, named Yamlikha, to the city with a few silver coins they had brought with them. His mission was to discreetly find the purest food and bring back provisions, emphasizing caution and secrecy. They feared that the king's men might still be searching for them, unaware that the king himself and his entire era had long passed into history. Yamlikha, clutching the ancient silver coins, ventured out of the cave. The sunlight, which had been carefully regulated by Allah's design to preserve them, now felt dazzling. As he descended the mountain and approached the city, he was immediately struck by profound changes. The landscape looked different, the buildings were unfamiliar, and the very air felt new. The city gates, the architecture, the clothing of the people, everything was utterly transformed. He heard new languages and saw faces he did not recognize. This was not the city he had fled centuries ago. A wave of confusion and fear washed over him. He tried to remain inconspicuous, but his old-world clothes and the ancient coins he carried would soon betray him. This was the moment of confrontation, not with the king, they feared, but with the passage of time itself, a powerful divine judgment revealing their miraculous preservation. Upon reaching the market, Yamlikha approached a vendor offering his ancient silver coin for food. The vendor, examining the coin, was astonished. It was currency from a bygone era, a relic of a distant past. The vendor suspected that Yamlikha had either found a hidden treasure or was somehow connected to ancient times. Word quickly spread, and soon Yamlikha was surrounded by curious and suspicious townspeople. They questioned him about the coin, about his origins, and about his strange attire. Yamlikha, equally bewildered, tried to explain that he had only just woken up and that these were his coins from yesterday. His confusion was genuine, but it only deepened the mystery for the townspeople. They had never seen such a coin, nor heard of anyone from such a distant past. The situation escalated, and Yamlikha was eventually brought before the city's ruler and its scholars. The ruler and the scholars, examining the ancient coin and listening to Yamlikha's bewildered tale, were initially skeptical. They consulted historical records and ancient texts, trying to make sense of his claims. They realized that the coin belonged to the time of King Decius, a ruler who had lived centuries ago. As Yamlikha recounted his story of fleeing persecution, seeking refuge in a cave, and falling asleep, the scholars began to grasp the incredible truth. This was no ordinary man. He was a living miracle, a sign from Allah. The Qur'an states, "And we caused them to rise that they might question one another. A speaker among them said, 'How long have you remained?' They said, 'We have remained a day or part of a day.' They said, 'Your Lord is most knowing of how long you remained. So send one of you with this silver coin of yours to the city, and let him see which is the purest of food, and bring you provision from it, and let him be cautious and not inform anyone about you." Surah Al-Kahf 18:19. This verse perfectly captures the scene, highlighting their confusion and the revelation of their long sleep. The townspeople, the ruler, and the scholars were utterly awestruck. The news of the people of the cave spread like wildfire. This was a direct sign from Allah, a powerful testament to His ability to resurrect the dead and His absolute control over time and creation. It was a clear proof for those who doubted the day of judgment and the resurrection. They realized that Allah had preserved these young men for centuries to serve as a living miracle, a profound lesson for humanity. The old world they had fled was gone, replaced by a new one where their faith, Islam, was now dominant. The king they feared was long dead, and the persecution they escaped was a forgotten chapter of history. The revelation of their story was a divine judgment, not of punishment, but of the truth being unveiled in the most miraculous way. Yamlikha, now understanding the incredible passage of time, led the ruler and the scholars back to the cave to confirm his story and to show them his companions. The tension was immense, as the truth of their miraculous sleep was about to be fully revealed, a sign for all who reflect on Allah's boundless power and wisdom. The truth of their miraculous sleep was now fully revealed, a sign for all who reflect on Allah's boundless power and wisdom. The people of the cave, once hidden by divine decree, now stood as living testaments to faith, perseverance, and the timeless nature of Allah's protection. Indeed, in their story is a lesson for those who possess understanding. Surah Yusuf 12:1-11. What profound lessons does this extraordinary tale offer us about divine protection and the ultimate test of patience? How does their journey, spanning centuries, connect to the trials and triumphs of believers throughout history, including the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? And what timeless truths about faith, resilience, and the power of Allah can we, as modern Muslims, draw from the miraculous sleepers of the cave? Upon reaching the cave, the ruler and scholars found the other young men still seemingly asleep, just as Yamlikha had described. The sight confirmed the incredible truth. These were indeed the people of the cave, preserved by Allah's power for over 3 centuries. The ruler and scholars were filled with awe and gratitude, recognizing this as a clear sign from their Lord. They understood that Allah had kept these young men alive and well to serve as a powerful proof of resurrection and a reminder of His absolute control over all things. This miracle was a direct answer to the doubts of some people in that later era who questioned the day of judgment. The story of the people of the cave became a living testament to Allah's promise to resurrect humanity. The people of the cave, having served their divine purpose as a sign, were then taken by Allah in a peaceful manner. The Qur'an does not explicitly state what happened to them after their story was revealed, but it implies a peaceful conclusion to their miraculous lives. Some traditions suggest they passed away shortly after their awakening, having fulfilled their role as a divine sign. This subtle ending emphasizes that their purpose was to be a lesson, not to live indefinitely. Their story is a profound example of divine protection, ifs Allah, and the ultimate test of patience, sabr. They endured persecution, chose to flee for their faith, and were then granted a miraculous sleep that protected them from tyranny and preserved them for a later time. Their patience in the face of oppression was rewarded with Allah's extraordinary intervention. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick of a thorn, but Allah expiates some of his sins thereby." Sahih al-Bukhari, Book 70, Hadith 5400. The trials these young men faced, including their long sleep, were ultimately a means of purification and a testament to their steadfastness. The story of the people of the cave holds deep connections to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This narrative was revealed to the Prophet in Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18 of the Qur'an, in response to questions posed by the people of Mecca, who were influenced by Jewish scholars. These questions were a test of his prophethood, asking about ancient stories not commonly known among the Arabs. The Prophet's ability to recount this detailed story with its miraculous elements served as a powerful proof of his divine revelation. The surah itself is often recited on Fridays, and its lessons are highly emphasized in Islamic tradition. It teaches about the importance of holding on to faith in the face of trials, the dangers of worldly temptations, the pursuit of knowledge, and the ultimate power of Allah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, reportedly encouraged the memorization of the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf as protection against the Dajjal, Antichrist, highlighting the profound spiritual significance of this chapter. For modern Muslims, the story of the people of the cave offers timeless lessons, steadfastness in faith. It teaches us the importance of holding firm to our beliefs, even when facing immense pressure and persecution. The young men chose Allah over worldly power, and Allah protected them. Trust in divine protection. It reminds us that Allah's power is limitless, and He can protect His sincere servants in ways beyond human comprehension. When we put our trust in Him, He will open paths for us. Patience and perseverance. Their centuries-long sleep is a powerful symbol of sabr, patience in the face of trials. It teaches us that Allah's timing is perfect, and sometimes the best response to adversity is unwavering patience and reliance on Him. The reality of resurrection, the miraculous awakening of the people of the cave, serves as a clear sign and proof of the day of judgment and the resurrection of the dead, reinforcing a core tenet of Islamic belief. Lessons from history. The Qur'an presents this story as a lesson for those who possess understanding. It encourages us to reflect on the past, to learn from the experiences of those who came before us, and to recognize Allah's signs in all of creation. The people of the cave, though their exact identities and location remain a mystery, live on through the verses of the Qur'an, a profound and enduring testament to Allah's power and mercy. Their journey, from desperate flight to miraculous slumber and eventual revelation, continues to inspire believers across centuries. It reminds us that no matter how dark the times, how overwhelming the oppression, or how long the wait, Allah's protection is absolute. His plan is perfect, and His signs are ever present for those who seek to understand. The sleepers of the cave remain a timeless beacon of faith, patience, and divine wonder.